What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down some new developments in the charts and what the news is saying, and what you should be watching for as time goes on. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention 8.1% APY on invested cash. The offering is very soon, in just about 5 days from now. Anyways, let's talk about what's happening with the market. So, as far as Tesla's going, we have a nice cup and handle-like structure that's beginning to develop. I want to say that we had some very, very good news that came out on Tuesday. That's the last time Tesla was open before today. On Tuesday, we got this big rally that came to the markets in Tesla because of the fact that Tesla saw all this positive news about their anticipation for deliveries. We got some good ratings from Barclays and other analysts who have very, very bullish price targets on Tesla, expecting $5.15 a share, and lots of very, very good news. So that is what helped Tesla push up quite a bit on Tuesday. Then yesterday was Wednesday, it was Christmas, the stock market was closed, and now today has been Thursday, and then the market in Tesla started to see a lot of sideways price actions, some downside. So the question is, what's going to happen from this point on? Why did Tesla end up doing what it ended up doing? So here's my answer. So I think that Tesla was due for a little bit of a dip after so much upside on Tuesday. And with that happening, we could be approaching a key support before we get some kind of bounce. We do have a cup and handle like structure, but this is going to depend on many different factors. So I first want to talk about the news and factors, and I'll break down more details about the charts. The first thing I want to talk about is that we're seeing a lot of news about what's happening for 2025, a lot of anticipation of the Model Y Juniper. Tesla's not confirmed this quite yet, but there have been lots of reports suggesting that this could be unveiled very soon. Also, we're going to be looking to see what happens with what's known as the Tesla Model Q or the Cybercab. I'm very excited about this as well. Can't wait to see when this is going to be launched. It could be coming out as soon as the first half of 2025, and then they could be, beginning to scale it very soon in, sometime next year. So it's going to be very, very big for Tesla. And with all this talk and hype about this, many analysts are expecting Tesla to hit $5.15 a share, if not $6.50 for the super bullish case, which is what Wedbush is talking about. It's always a possibility. So there's a lot of upside potential for Tesla because of factors like this. Now, for other pieces of news, I am seeing this right here. There's been a lot of anticipation of Tesla doing over 1.8 million deliveries, at least for 2024 as well. There was a bit of a slowdown in some Tesla sales early this year because of the high interest rates and factors like that. So hopefully Tesla could offset that with strong deliveries numbers. We're seeing a lot of analysts talking about how Tesla should do over 500,000 deliveries for Q4, and we could be trying to surpass the numbers from last year. But I want to say this year's numbers don't matter as much. I think what's going to matter a lot more is going to be next year's, because Elon Musk was saying we're expecting 20 to 30% growth, and the economy is going to be in a different place. So we'll be watching for that. And then don't forget that Tesla also has, the Cybercabs coming out, more sales for their Cybertrucks and such. And I think that it's going to be very, very big. With the fact that the Cybertruck is going to be, not only a big hit for them, especially going into next year, hopefully their numbers get even better once we get them. And we're going to be looking for their numbers within a week from now. So Tesla will be giving us their sales for the entire year. Once the report comes out, it's going to be very, very big. Baird gave Tesla an outperform rating. Besides that, there's nothing else that's too significant that came out. The price-price ratio came down a bit. It's still holding up quite well because Tesla's still holding its supports. We tend to be green historically about 49% of the time on Fridays, and then there tends to be more green at 10 o'clock a.m. and 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, more volatility. Besides that, there's nothing else that's too crazy, at least thus far. I did talk about Chinese sales in my earlier video, so I'm not going to focus too much on that for now. They did rebound a little bit, and then we saw Tesla announce they're going to be cutting prices in China a little bit more to get those sales back up. So let's hope we get some strong numbers. Let's hope for the best for Tesla. We'll have to see how it goes. Besides that, if you look at the dark pool data, Tesla had 76 million in volume. That is below average. So volume is slowing down. That's why we're seeing a lot of chop. It's not just for Tesla, it's for the whole market. No surprise considering that we're near the holiday week. For the market as a whole, just know that we had a very flat day. We had Amazon down 0.87%. Meta was down 0.72%. The market was very flat. Tesla was down about 1.76%. So no surprise, very flat day. For the data, most of the data today was quite minor, and then tomorrow there's nothing too crazy that's coming out. We just have retail inventories and wholesale inventories at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And besides that, everything else is going to be quite minor. For other factors, we have the fear and greed index currently at fear. That's making up the majority of sentiments. We're not at extreme fear. We're not at neutral. We're just stuck in the middle. We'll see if the market becomes more neutral or not, depending on how things go. So just keep that in mind. For other factors, there's two more things. Just know that for earnings, there's nothing significant coming out this week or next week, and things start to get really serious by the second week of January. Once we get closer to the big bank earnings, that's when I'll be talking more about this. So just keep that in mind. And then finally, for tomorrow, okay, we have something very interesting going on. Tomorrow is going to be December 27th. It's Friday, and as you guys know, there's lots of option expirations. Tomorrow is not as crazy as other weeks, but just know we have only about 200 and almost 370,000 of these calls expiring. And we have about a little bit under 370,000 of these puts expiring for a 1.02 put to call ratio. So the majority positions are a little bit more in puts, but it's very much just like balanced, almost the same on both ends. So this typically is what may lead to more like shop in the markets to kind of screw over both sides that are holding like options. So I would say that if I was the market maker, I might cause a lot of shop because of this options chain. This could change depending on the 0 day to expirations, but for now, just be prepared for that just to be safe. So what do I think is going to happen? What is my view of Tesla and the others? What do I think is going to pan out as time goes on? We have a nice cup right over here, maybe a handle that could be forming. Looking at Tesla, we have this resistance to watch for very close to that 458 to 460 area. If we break that, we could be going back up to where the high of the day was, near 468. If we can't break past 460, we continue to fall. We're looking for support at 447. So watch 450, then 447. If that fails us, we could be dipping all the way down towards the much lower 440 area, and we'll see if we bounce off that or not. So what do I see at least moving forward? We have a nice cup like structure that the handle could be forming. I think we might be dipping a little bit more on Tesla. I think this might be getting very close to 450, if not 447. Then we'll see if we get some kind of bounce or not off of that. I anticipate a little bit more downside, and we'll see what kind of reaction we get, but look for that very, very closely. 447 could be a very, very nice target, and we'll see if we get a bounce or not, so just keep that in mind. And then we'll see how this ends up reacting. I do want to mention that the closer we get to deliveries, the more likely this Tesla is going to run higher. So I think that if we do dip a little bit more, this could be an opportunity because Tesla might start to run approaching deliveries in anticipation of them. So just keep that in mind. I think that there's a cup and handle that's forming, and Tesla's going to run it towards the end of the year. But for now, we're going to start off with a small dip going into tomorrow towards that like 447 to 450 area. Then we might see a lot of consolidation. Then we could try to bounce later on as soon as the end of the day tomorrow, if not by next week. So I'll be watching that very, very closely. There's a cup and handle that's developing, and we'll see how Tesla ends up doing. Please keep that in mind. Watch these levels very closely. Look for a dip tomorrow morning towards 447 to 450, some consolidation, and then we'll see if we get a bounce later on. Hopefully, we hold that support near the lower to mid 440 area, and then we'll see if we bounce. For SPY, we have something very similar going on. Now, SPY is hitting 602, and we're not able to break past that. But our support's at 598. We're still holding support, and yet we're not breaking resistance, which means we're in a tight range going back and forth and back and forth. So going into tomorrow, just know that if we break 602.5, we're looking for a push for 605. If we lose 598, we're looking for a dip to 597.64, then 595. If that fails us, we're going to be dipping even more. I think that we're going to most likely see a small dip right here towards not only 600, but 598. And we'll see if we bounce or not off of that. But overall, we're just going to be stuck in this range going back and forth and back and forth. So look for a dip right back down towards 600, if not 598, and we'll see if we bounce off that. And overall, we're just kind of stuck in the middle. I think there's a very, very good chance we see a little bit more downside, and 598 could be retested. But then we'll see if SPY bounces again, just continues to trade sideways. Expect a small dip in the morning, then a bounce, and a lot of choppy price action tomorrow because of the option chain. I think that's going to be the most likely possibility. But in case I'm wrong, make sure you watch the levels I called out. So, I could be wrong in case we lose or break the levels, but I do anticipate lots of chop nonetheless. For Nvda, same setup. We have a potential inverse head and shoulders like structure. Left shoulder here ahead, and then maybe like a right shoulder that could be forming. I think we're ranged bound between 138 and 140. It might be a small dip towards 138 and a lot of sideways price action. If we break 142, we turn bullish for 144. And if we lose 138, we're looking for a dip for 136.8 and eventually back down to 134. I think we trade sideways around this range right here between 138 and 140, and we'll see if we bounce or not. But watch that very, very closely just to see how things end up progressing. For other factors out there, we have ES. ES is on a nice uptrend right over here. If we end up losing the support at 60.62, we're looking for a dump back down towards 60.40. And if we end up breaking the resistance right here at 6100, we're looking for a push back up to about 61.25. So we're stuck in the middle, going back and forth and back and forth. We might see a small dip on ES back down to about 60. very close to 60-60 and a lot of sideways price action right here. So there might be a small dip here as we have a range developing, but then I anticipate a lot of sideways price action. So notice how we were very choppy today. Might come down like this to about 60-60, bounce back up and trade sideways, and continue to chop around as the most likely case for tomorrow, just to hurt both sides of the options chain. Like I said about Bitcoin, there's this imbalance down here around this 94,000 area. So if we can't reclaim 96,900 at the very least, there's a good chance it might dip a little bit. We could get close to the 94,000s and bounce and just continue to trade sideways as the most likely possibility. So we'll see what happens after that. For other factors out there, we have going back to NQ. Let me just double check this. NQ is looking very flat right now. We have support around 21,850. We have resistance at 22,100. And then if we break that, we're looking for 22,200 as our resistance. So if we break 22,100, we're looking for a push back up to about the 22,280 area. If we lose 21,850, we're looking for a dump back down towards 21,725. We're stuck in the middle going back and forth for now, but I do anticipate a small dip right here. We might dip back down towards 21,875, bounce, and just continue to trade sideways between 21,800 and 22,000. I find that to be the most likely possibility. If we break the support I called out, we're going to be dumping more. If we break resistance, we're going to be pumping more. But I think we're just going to see a lot of sideways price action, lots of chop looking at this range. For the QQQ, we might be dipping a little bit, so just keep that in mind. We have this support right here around 527 and 525. Look for a small dip, a bounce, and a lot of sideways price action. If we break 533, I'm looking for a bigger push back up to 535. If we lose 524, we're looking for a dump back down to 520. I anticipate a small dip to 526, a bounce, and a lot of sideways price action as the most likely possibility. So please keep that in mind. For Apple, we look more bullish as we're making higher highs and higher lows as we're approaching the 460 or the 260 area. Excuse me, guys. However, I do want to say I'm a little concerned because of this rising wedge that's forming on Apple. If we hit 260 and we break it, we're looking for 262. If we reject off this and we can't hold above 260, watch 258 is the main level. If that does not hold, we're going to be dumping back down to 257 flat and then eventually 255. So lose 258, excuse me, lose 258, we turn more bearish. Break 260, we're bullish. There's a rising wedge, so just be careful on Apple. This could slow down. That could even cause a little bit of a slowdown in the market, so just be careful. As far as Netflix goes, we're in a range. As we had 940, we reject. As we had 900, we tend to bounce. We might be dipping back down to about 919 if that fills us. We're looking for 913.8. Then we'll see if we bounce off that or not. So look for a small pullback, and we'll see what kind of reaction we get. For MSTR, we are on a bit of a downtrend. We're making lower highs right over here. We could be dipping closer to about this 329 area, and we'll see if we bounce or not off of this, especially as we have this imbalance down here. So we could be dipping to 329. We'll have to see if we bounce, and we'll see what ends up happening from here. But look for a little bit more downside as we approach this imbalance. I think that 329 to 330 could be tested, and we'll see what kind of reaction we get. For Celsius, we look a bit more bullish. I think that as long as we're above 27.62, we're looking for an attempt to get back up to 28.39. If that breaks, we're looking for us to get very close to about 29.5. If we reject here, we're looking for a dump back down towards 26.6. My gut tells me that 28.39 is most likely coming. For Supermicro, we're hitting resistance at the 50 EMA. We're looking for support at 33.4. If that fails us, we're going to be dipping back down to about 32.5. If we break 34, we push back up. We have a double top here, so I am favoring a move back down towards 32.68. For Palantir, we have a bit of a interesting trend here. We're rejecting off our support, so we're looking at 82 as our support. If that fails us, we could be dipping back down towards 80.5, and then we'll have to see if we bounce or not. So look for a little bit more downside here, and we'll see if we get some kind of rebound. I do see a little bit of a dip that's coming to the lower 80s, and we'll see what kind of reaction we get from there. For Rivian, we're just trading sideways right here. We have this resistance to watch for around this 14.3 area, and if we lose 13.7, we turn back down. I anticipate a lot of choppy price action. There's not really much going on with this. It might retest 13.7 and continue to trade sideways. So it's very flat. It's not really doing a whole lot yet. SoFi looks more bullish to me as long as we don't lose 16.25 right over here. Previous support, which could still act as our same support. As long as we don't lose 16.25, we favor a push back up to 17. I think this chart is favoring 17 with an imbalance to fill, so it looks a bit more bullish to me. For others out there, we have the IWM Russell 2000. So just know that we're doing a great job so far at holding up on the Russell. We could be attempting to get back up to 228 as long as we don't lose 224.21. So look for an attempt to get back up to 228, then we'll see what kind of reaction we get off this inverse head and shoulders. So for now, we favor upside for 228. For AMD, we're looking a little bit more bearish as long as we don't end up, as long as we don't end up getting above like 127. This favors downside a bit more. So look for a test of 124.67. We got to hold that, or else this is going to be dipping back down towards 123 flats and all the way back down to like 121. So I anticipate some downside as the most likely possibility, and we'll have to see what kind of reaction we get from there. For ARM, we're on a bit of a downtrend. We're rejecting off our resistance, especially off our 20 EMA. If we break past 132, we're looking for an attempt to get back up to 135. If we can't break that, we're looking for a move back down towards 127. I think this is favoring 127 is the most likely possibility. So we'll watch this very closely and we'll have to see how it goes. For coin is looking a little bit weaker. This is also rejecting off our 20 EMA. I think this might be dipping to about 268, and we'll have to see if it bounces there. It's very flat right now, right? It's like hitting support here, bouncing, hitting resistance and dumping. So it's very, very tight. We might be dipping to 268, and we'll have to see if we bounce or not. For Amazon, we're on a bit of a downtrend. If we end up losing 226, we're looking for a dip back down to 225. If we bounce here, we're looking for an attempt to get back up to 228. So I'm favoring a move back down to 225. For Meta, we're hitting resistance around 605. If this rejects, we could be dipping closer to about 598. If we break this, we're going to be looking for a pushback up for about 615. There's a left shoulder here, there's a head, and there's a right shoulder forming. We need to break 610 to turn bullish. If we can't do that, we're looking for a move back down to at least 598 and 595. So not just 610, 605 is going to be one of the main resistances. That's our 50 EMA. So 605 and 610 happen to be the two main resistances. If we break those, we turn bullish. If not, we turn back down. I'm thinking it's actually going to turn a little bit lower before it tries to bounce because I'm seeing a weakness on the 4-hour, which makes me suspect that we could be looking for a move back down to about 598. We'll see about that just to be safe. For Microsoft, we look a little bit weaker. We're in a range. We like to reject off 440. We like to get bought up around 431. So I wouldn't be surprised if this dips a little bit back down to like 435, and then we'll see if we bounce off that or not. We're still completely range bound, so it's nothing to worry about, even if we do get a small dip. Google/Alphabet is dipping a bit. We need to break past 198 to get back up. I do want to call out there's a left shoulder here, there's a head, and then maybe a right shoulder forming, which makes me suspect that 195 is on the table. Might be dipping closer to 195 before it tries to get a bounce, so just keep that in mind. For others out there, we have GameStop. If GameStop cannot hold above 32, we're going to be at risk of coming down to fill the gap at 31. As long as we're above 33, however, we're looking for 34 plus to break these highs. So we'll be watching. Do we get above 33 to turn bullish, or do we lose 32 to turn more bearish? We're stuck right now. But I do see some potential in this. We do look a bit more bullish. It might be a small dip in a bounce. Hopefully it tries to get back above 33 to start pushing higher. I see the potential in this. However, AMC looks a little bit weaker. This could be dipping closer to 4 flat. I am seeing some weakness on the chart, but it's very choppy. It's not really seeing a whole lot of volatility, so there could be some downside coming nonetheless. For DJT, we have this imbalance to fill up here around this 38 area. As long as we don't lose 36, I think that this could try to favor a push for 38. So look for a dip to 36 and a bounce is the most likely possibility. I think we're doing a good job so far. The VIX is on a bit of a downtrend right here. We have to try to get back above the 16 area to turn back up. Otherwise, this will favor downside. Could be looking for a move for 13.4, and we'll have to see how it reacts. So just be careful. There is some downside potential in this because the market does have potential to bounce. But nonetheless, I do want to say that even if the VIX does dip a little bit lower, we're approaching some key support. So for example, the last time we hit this like 13.3 area to 14, we did bounce off of that. So we're very close to support. If the VIX dips a bit more, will it get some kind of big bounce? We'll have to see about that. For the 10-year, we're dipping a bit. It's not really affecting the market as much. This is more affected by inflationary data. When PC data was decent, I think that this is now coming down a little bit because of that. The dollar is also kind of flat, but just know this about the dollar. We're still holding our 20 EMA. We'll have to see if that holds around the 108 range. If that holds, this could bounce and still hold the market down. So just wait for that. So with that being said, my view of the market is that there might be a small dip tomorrow in the morning for SPY, ES, and even for Tesla. But there's a big but. If we do come down to this dip, we'll have to see if we get some kind of bounce, especially as we still have this cup and handle. And as we get very close to January, there could still be a nice bounce on Tesla because there's going to be a lot of hype involved with deliveries. So just keep that in mind. Implied volatility is going to go up, so premiums are going to be very expensive at Tesla, so just be careful with them. And just know that even if we do get some kind of dip, we'll be watching these supports very closely. Don't forget that tomorrow has not too many options expiring for the markets. It's less than usual. So that gives the market makers an incentive to not really do as much. And then also, it's very balanced between shorts and longs on SPY. Typically, that could lead to a lot of chop, so just be very mindful of that. It's a Friday. Fridays tend to be full of manipulation, so just be very careful, guys. Anyways, we'll see what the market does. I do anticipate a little bit of a dip and a lot of chop afterwards. In case I'm wrong, and in case we make bigger moves, watch the levels just to be safe, the ones I called out. I talked about the more bullish and bearish cases just to give you guys some more comprehensive updates. But until I see you guys again tomorrow morning, I hope you guys have a very awesome rest of your day. Have a good day, night, or evening, wherever you guys are around the world. I know that I have viewers all over the world, from Australia to South America to New Zealand. The list goes on, guys. I just want to wish you all the best. So please have a very, very happy rest of this year. The year is coming to an end. And I'll see you guys tomorrow before market open. Thank you for listening. Tesla to the moon. The long term is still very bright despite some short term downside. And peace out.